What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. In today's episode, we are turning this Corvette into a go-kart, at least temporarily. I'm sure some of you guys saw Cletus McFarland in his Corvette go-kart. It's probably gonna look something like that. Not nearly as crazy, of course, but this is a C6 and we're gonna actually throw on some wheels on it at the same time as well. This is all in preparation for a very aggressive body kit. The car's been in a small accident on that fender, so that fender's got to go anyway. Our wide body kit should be in a couple of days, and we're going to start dry fitting it. But in all the in-between of dry fitting, sanding, taking off, taking to the paint shop, this car is going to be driving around like a go-kart. I'm pretty excited to see what it looks like. So yeah, guys, stay tuned. Meanwhile, let me show you guys something cool. These are the wheels that we're going to be running on this car once it gets the wide body. As you can see, they're pretty deep dish. There's about, I don't know, 6 inches of indent there. These are niche GT5s. They're pretty aggressive. They're all 20s. We're gonna have to run some spacers probably for the rear just to fill out the new aggressive fenders that we have. But anyway, without further ado, let's start. I think I'm going to start taking apart these fenders first, and then if we have time today, I'm going to get to the rear ones. Stay tuned. All right, we loosened up everything up top. This is nice and loose. We loosened up the bumper, and same thing on the other side. But I believe the bumper is being held on somewhere at the bottom, probably right here where they meet, and the fender is being held up at the bottom somewhere. So we're going to try to figure out where all that is. Unbolt, unscrew everything, and hopefully this whole front section should come right off. Clips gave me a little bit of trouble because they're old, but we have a bunch of new clips that we're going to replace them with, so I broke some. But I think we have the front panels loosened up enough to the point where I can start removing them. So let's see if they are actually loose enough. I'm going to start with the bumper. There's a little bit of a lip right here. Oh, there it is. We're going to take off the whole bumper with everything on because this bumper is going to get reused. Just pop it right back on once we're done. This part right here, that was supposed to be screwed on by something, but it wasn't. Some tricky stuff going on here. Oh, I see it. It's taken off now. And looks like there's one clip that we missed over here. So everything up front is pretty much buttoned up. The car is safe to drive without these panels. I'm starting to think that the wide body with these aggressive wheels, we're gonna have to cut maybe some of this fiberglass off, which is no problem because it's gonna get that's gonna get covered up, and then we're probably gonna have to buy custom kind of like fender liners here that we're gonna insert. And yeah, that's about it. I think this actually went a lot faster than I thought it was gonna go, so I think I'm gonna pull the car a little bit forward. As you can see, I don't got much space here, but I'm gonna start disassembling the rear quarter panels. You know what, since we got the car up in the air, I think I'm gonna test fit the front wheels. We'll find out if we need to cut this right now or not, but I know I'm just as excited to see these huge wheels on this car and see how it looks. Well, this is a cut to about an hour later. I've searched high and low for my wheel lock key and I cannot find it anywhere. So I ordered a kit to remove them, but that's only gonna be here in 2 days. So unfortunately, no wheels right now, but that gives us time to start on the rear end of the car. So luckily, this probably is the easiest car in the world to replace quarter panels from. As you can see, there's just a series of these star-shaped screws all the way around. There's some hardware down there that's kind of hard to get to, and then the other ones on the side behind the door are pretty easy. Some of you might have watched me change this once before, so now we're just removing it. Let's go. Okay, got all of these removed. It's already getting kind of loose, but the next step is to actually remove the taillights, and in there's kind of hard to reach, but there's some screws there as well, so we're gonna do that next. Alright, the top part is removed. You really can't see anything, apologize, but there's 2 screws in there, 2 screws there, they're removed. And everything else, you kind of gotta crawl in under the car and reach in there. Fortunately, we might have to take off the wheel for this, and we can't, so this episode might have to drag out for me for a couple of days, but for you guys, it should be another minute or so. Went to get some breakfast, and well, it's definitely a head turner, but it drives fine. Nothing's flying off yet, but at this point, just waiting for the wheel lock tools to come in so we can finally fully take off these panels. But I'll show you the view from here. Looks kind of crazy. You just got your 2 headlights popping out there. But aside from that, I think I could drive around like this for some time. It's starting to snow, so I better get this thing back in the garage as soon as possible. Yep, so upon further inspection, there's really no way I could take off this panel and reach all the way back here to take everything off. So I guess for me, I gotta wait for those wheel lug removal tools. But let's just jump right over to that. Okay, another 40 hours later, we finally got the wheel off. I bought this socket remover set from Amazon, and it was complete garbage. None of them worked. What I ended up doing was just grabbing one of these normal sockets, hammering it on. The trouble is the nut stays inside of the socket, so we gotta sacrifice 4 19mm sockets. Anyway, let's try to fit this wheel on, see what it looks like. Oh my goodness. These tires are way bigger than I thought they would be. This is how much suspension travel we have right now, so that's not good. The scrubbing radius, really close. It should be okay, but I think I'm gonna have to cut some stuff for sure, and we're probably gonna end up needing some more thinner tires than this, because these are pretty insane. We also need probably some aftermarket lug nuts, because these are a really tight fit, even though they work. I mean, it looks crazy, it looks great, but I think I'm gonna take the little grinder right there. I'm gonna try to cut off as much of this as I can, just to give a little bit more space for suspension travel. Well, here's what we came up with so far. Created some more wheel well room. Everything was cut pretty easily. I clean up this line a little bit, but I want it to look at least somewhat clean. We're gonna have to kind of test these wheels on the road though. Next thing up, I think I'm gonna try to take off that rear quarter panel by starting with the rear wheel. We'll see how that works out. The good news about this section is, as you can see, there's actually a whole lot more wheel space here. So I think there's really not much to cut anyway, but I think we should be fine back here as far as wheel size. This whole section is way bigger than I thought. So let's try to throw on that wheel and see what it looks like. By the way, because the hub bore is a little bit different, I bought some of these hub adapters. It's only a couple millimeter difference, but that way we can make sure that our wheel is sitting evenly on the hub bore. Let's do this. All right, here's the back side of it. Thinman looks pretty good, pretty close over here, but once the wheel moves up, this is gonna be farther away. We are gonna be running probably spacers in the back just to space out the really wide fender. And in reference, the old fender used to just go straight down from here. So the old fender would have ended like right here. We got about, I don't know, 3.5 inches out. Show you guys. That's what it looks like. Whew. It's been kind of a stressful taking off of the panels, so I'm gonna lower the car, go buy some more 19mm sockets so I could sacrifice them to take off the other two wheels, and we'll continue this later. So while we were doing that, our wide body panels came in. They're actually not as rough as I expected. They are very aggressive as I expected. But yeah, this is it. We're gonna need a lot of work. They look really crazy. But let's get those things inside and then we're gonna throw them on just to test for them. Oh my gosh, guys. So I threw some of these on just to see what they're gonna look like. Just to dry fit them, kind of initial test. They're actually not bad. I had to sand one little piece for it to make it fit, and fit it on like a glove. It's actually not too bad of quality. Obviously, we're gonna have to prep them some more, but for the price, they're awesome. But we're having another problem, but it's kind of a good problem. Ready? I thought that our wheels were too wide, and you can't even see this wheel. I mean, this wheel already has like an inch spacer on it, and it's like way in there. Clearly not wide enough. And then the fronts, what I was really worried about, probably need another like 2 inches, because I mean, just look at this. These fenders are insane. I mean, I think this is like the most aggressive wide body kit I've ever seen on a Vette. It is like way too wide. But hey man, it's kind of a beater. It's been crashed twice. We might need to hack some things up. Might need to run some spacers, which is frowned upon by some people, but oh well. This isn't our daily or anything like that. So yeah, I'm gonna try to take those spacers off the back. I'm gonna put on the spacers to the front, see how much that puts it out, but we might need to buy wider spacers all across. But anyway, so yeah, we know unfortunately one of the panels was damaged, and I luckily, as you saw me, the guy was standing there watching me unpack everything, and they have UPS is a rule that I have to sign damage on the spot. So I kind of had to take it out, inspect it. One of the panels, the opposite side, has a chip right here. It's chipped off, and there's a crack in like 2 other spots. It doesn't look like it was like that from whoever made these. It looks like it got damaged during shipping. So I mean, I'll work through it. I don't mind. Like I said, this is a beater. Hopefully we get some money back from the insurance, which will make this kit even cheaper. I'll reveal the final kind of price breakdown later on. Let you guys know how much this came out to be. And it's so far turning out pretty cheap, but it's gonna need a lot of work. Anyway, where we left off was taking off these wheels, putting on the new ones. I still gotta cut that fender up a little bit more, and we're gonna take off this wheel and take off this fender. Let's go. Alrighty, so what we did here was I took the inch spacer that we had in the rear wheel back there and I installed them on the front just to get an idea of how much spacing we're gonna need, and it looks like an inch is not quite enough. It's still pretty far behind fender, so we're probably gonna do 2 inches here and 3 inches in the back. I know it's not too safe, but like I said, this is gonna be more of a weekend / beater car. I'm gonna go measure all the wheels so I know exactly how much of a space I need. Okay guys, here's our first dry fit. Only one panel is bolted on, now really aligned, but so far there's been a lot of wiggle room for alignment, so I'm really not worried about that. These are just thrown on and the panel's closed. These gaps could be adjusted, so I know I don't have to do anything here until it gets prepped and painted. So we're all good here. Let me show you the other side real quick. So here's what this side looks like. That side is with a 1 inch spacer, clearly not enough. This side has no spacer and it looks ridiculous. And then the front, that one doesn't have a spacer either, also looks ridiculous. But so far all the panels are pretty good. Here's a panel I was talking about that got damaged during shipping. Probably sand that down and cover that with something, make it look a little better than this, but overall I'm not so worried about it. Hopefully we get some money back for this. I've already ordered spacers. Basically we're going to try to do 3 inches in the back. That should fill it out pretty nicely, and then 2 inches up front. That's going to help us clear the bracket for the headlight that it is really close to right now, as you could see. If that doesn't work, basically this whole section right here is just a fiberglass piece that's glued on to the actual frame rails, and really all its only purpose is to hold up the headlights in 3 spots. So if that's going to be a major issue, I'm going to have to just cut it away and kind of make my own brackets. Doesn't seem too hard. At this point we're just waiting for our spacers, and the next part is probably going to be me throwing on the spacers and seeing how our fitment looks. And then another thing that we could remedy these huge wheels with, where we could actually push them out but still have, be able to turn the wheel both directions pretty well, is I'm probably going to start looking for slightly smaller tires. These are 285/35/20s. I think I'm going to go with 265/30/20, and that should give it a little bit more of a stretch, and is going to be only maybe up to here instead of up here, and smaller radius. Hopefully that fixes it, and the last resort is going to be actually messing with those brackets, which I hope not to do, but at the same time it would be a pretty fun project. Currently these panels look so dang aggressive that I'm worried the front and the rear of the car is going to look very pedestrian compared to them. So I'm going to start looking into maybe a nice big wing in the back, a diffuser, and then either a different front bumper, which really only the option is a Z06 bumper, and it's not that much different. It just has kind of like a grill cutout in the middle. So we might stick with this bumper and maybe throw on some nice lips, diffusers, whatever. And I forgot to mention, there's also a piece that goes on here that gets riveted onto the bumper to kind of complete this wide body look. That's it for this episode, guys. This is only part 1. I know it doesn't look great right now, but I'm already excited. Stay tuned for the coming parts to see how this car is going to turn out, and then I'm going to give you guys a price reveal of how much this whole project cost. Thanks for watching. Peace.